If you're over 60, this video might just change how you start your mornings in a safer, healthier way. But what if I told you that even before you finish your first sip of coffee, you could already be increasing your risk of stroke without realizing it? It doesn't take a major accident. No fall. No sudden trauma. I'm a neurologist, and for over 30 years, I've treated older adults who believed they were just fine until one morning, they couldn't form a full sentence or couldn't move the left side of their body. Here's the truth. Stroke doesn't show up out of nowhere. It builds up silently, especially in the first few hours after waking, when your brain is still booting up and your body is at its most vulnerable. In this video, I'll walk you through 8 common morning habits that quietly increase stroke risk, and more importantly, I'll show you simple, practical changes that can protect your memory, your balance, and your independence for years to come. So before we dive in, go ahead and hit subscribe and tap the notification bell. And if this already sounds like it could be speaking to you, drop a 1 in the comments below. It often starts with something so ordinary, so small that most seniors never think twice about it. You wake up and something feels a little off. Maybe you're slightly dizzy. Your legs feel unsteady. Your hand feels weaker than usual, or your speech sounds just a bit off. So you sit on the edge of the bed, shake it off, and tell yourself it's just age catching up with you. But here's the truth, it's not. And I'm not saying this to scare you, but to protect you. As a neurologist, I've seen this exact moment play out far too many times. The danger isn't in feeling dizzy or weak. The danger is ignoring it. And what you ignore today might cost you everything tomorrow. Let me tell you about Mrs. Ellen Moore, a 72-year-old retired elementary school teacher from Ohio. She was sharp, independent, and loved volunteering at her local library every Thursday. One morning, she noticed her right hand wasn't gripping her coffee mug quite right. She brushed it off, thinking it was arthritis or maybe she slept wrong. She didn't mention the strange tingling in her face. She didn't write it down. She didn't call anyone. 2 days later, Ellen suffered a massive ischemic stroke. Her entire right side became paralyzed. She lost the ability to speak clearly. Her library visits, her independence, all gone. And not because she was weak, but because she ignored the warning signs. What many people don't realize is that minor symptoms like morning dizziness, weakness in an arm, slurred speech, or facial numbness could be signs of a transient ischemic attack, a TIA, often called a mini-stroke. A TIA is like your brain pulling a fire alarm. It might pass quickly, but the real danger is just beginning. Studies show that 1 in 3 people who experience a TIA will go on to have a major stroke within a year, most within the first 48 hours. And the most common time for those warning signs to appear? Early morning, when your blood pressure shifts, your blood is more concentrated, and your brain is still adjusting after sleep. You might think it's harmless, just a senior moment. But a senior moment can quickly become a life-changing moment if left unchecked. Here's what I tell every patient. If you ever wake up feeling dizzy, write it down. If your face feels strange, look in the mirror, smile, lift both arms, say a sentence. If anything feels off, even if it goes away, call your doctor. And if someone you love brushes off these symptoms, don't let them. Because once a stroke hits, it's not just your brain that suffers, it's your freedom, your movement, your memory, your relationships. What's lost can't always be rebuilt. But there is good news. If you listen when your body whispers, it all starts by treating small symptoms as serious warnings. 2. Skipping or mismanaging your morning medications. If you take medication in the morning for blood pressure, cholesterol, blood thinning, or heart rhythm, let me be clear. Skipping a dose, taking it late, or doubling up just this once could quietly set the stage for a devastating stroke. One of my patients, Mr. Robert, a 73-year-old retired auto mechanic from Missouri, was sharp and independent. He had lived alone for years. He managed his high blood pressure with morning medication, but now and then, he'd forget a dose and say, "No big deal, Docky, I'll just take 2 tomorrow." After skipping 2 days in a row, Robert woke up with a crushing headache and trouble forming words. By the time paramedics arrived, he was suffering a hemorrhagic strokeal brain bleed triggered by a blood pressure spike, worsened by taking a double dose too late. He survived, but he lost his ability to speak for 5 months. A mistake he thought didn't matter completely changed his life. As a neurologist, I've seen it too often. Well-meaning seniors who underestimate the power and risks of their medications. Morning is when your brain is most vulnerable. Blood pressure naturally rises as your body prepares to wake. For older adults with stiffer arteries, that spike can put tremendous pressure on brain vessels. That's why blood pressure meds, statins, or anticoagulants are often prescribed early before that surge becomes dangerous. But if you forget, delay, or take pills inconsistently, your protection drops and your brain is left exposed. Worse, some people take pills without water or with coffee, which affects absorption. Others stop altogether because they feel fine. But stroke doesn't care how you feel today, it cares about how stable your circulation has been over time. What many don't realize is this. Taking medication incorrectly can be just as dangerous as not taking it at all. Doubling a missed dose can cause blood pressure to crash, leading to dizziness, falls, or internal bleeding, especially if you're on blood thinners. And once a stroke hits, you don't get to fix it tomorrow. Your pill bottle may seem small, but it holds the weight of your future. It's not just a daily task, it's your first line of defense against brain injury. So set an alarm, use a pill organizer, or ask your pharmacist to simplify your routine. You don't need to be perfect, just consistent. Every day you take your medication correctly is one more day you stand between yourself and catastrophe. But even those who manage their medication well can still unknowingly undo its benefits all before breakfast. Because what if I told you that morning cup of coffee, especially on an empty stomach, could quietly push your blood pressure into dangerous territory before you even notice? Let me show you what's really happening inside your body when you reach for that first cup. 3. Not checking your blood pressure in the morning. Many seniors are diligent about taking their morning medications, but here's the hidden danger: they take those pills without knowing what their blood pressure actually is. And that silence, that lack of feedback, it can be deadly. Morning is the most unstable time for your blood pressure. As soon as you wake up, your body experiences a natural cortisol spike, a hormonal surge designed to prepare you for the day ahead. For younger, healthy individuals, this usually isn't a problem. But for seniors, especially those with stiff or narrowed arteries, that spike can quietly push blood pressure into the danger zone long before any symptoms appear. Let me share the story of Mr. Calvin Lopez, a 68-year-old retired postal worker from Arizona. He was diagnosed with high blood pressure 5 years ago and took his medication every day without fail. He never missed a dose, but he also never checked his blood pressure in the morning. Why? "I felt fine," he told me. "No dizziness, no headache, no chest pain." One morning, Calvin bent down to tie his shoe and suddenly felt lightheaded. Minutes later, he collapsed. By the time the ambulance arrived, he was unconscious. At the hospital, his blood pressure was dangerously high, the kind of spike that could have been caught and treated if he had checked it that morning. Fortunately, Calvin survived, but he lost partial vision in one eye due to a microstroke, a small, silent stroke caused by unregulated blood pressure. Now, he checks his numbers every single morning, without fail. Here's the reality. High blood pressure is called the silent killer for a reason. You don't feel it coming. And by the time warning signs appear like blurry vision, chest pain, or slurred speech, it may already be too late. That's why I tell every patient, get a home monitor and keep it next to your toothbrush. Make it part of your morning routine, just like brushing your teeth or making coffee. If your blood pressure is too high or too low, call your doctor before taking your meds. By checking your blood pressure each morning, you give your brain and your heart the chance to fight back before a crisis ever begins. 4. Getting out of bed too quickly. The hidden risk to your brain. It feels automatic. Wake up, swing your legs over the bed, and stand. But for older adults, getting out of bed too quickly can quietly endanger your brain. After a full night of sleep, your body is in a relaxed state. Blood pressure is low, circulation is slower, and your brain has been resting horizontally for hours. The moment you stand, gravity pulls blood away from the brain. While younger people adjust quickly, seniors, especially those with heart disease or narrowed arteries, may not. That sudden drop in brain blood flow can cause dizziness, fainting, or even a stroke. Take Mr. Walter, a 76-year-old retired vocational teacher from Michigan. Each day, he woke early and went straight to the kitchen. But one morning, after standing up too fast, he collapsed. He couldn't speak. It was a left-sided ischemic stroke, likely triggered by a brief drop in brain perfusion. His MRI revealed multiple tiny infarcts, showing his brain had already been struggling with low morning oxygen. This condition is called orthostatic hypotensione, sudden drop in blood pressure when changing positions. It's common in seniors and worsened by dehydration, medications, or poor sleep. Early signs like lightheadedness or blurry vision are often ignored. The danger? This happens just as your brain is trying to wake up. You're asking your heart to pump blood upward before your system is ready. And for those with vascular issues, that pressure shift can be overwhelming. If you fall, the risks go beyond hitting your head. A hip fracture, for example, has a 1 in 5 one-year mortality rate in older adults. You're not just risking your brain, you're risking your independence. So here's what I tell every senior. When you wake up, pause. Take deep breaths. Move your fingers and toes. Sit up slowly, then stand gently and steadily. Those 2 minutes could mean the difference between a normal day or the beginning of a long, painful recovery. Because a stroke doesn't just steal movement, it steals time, energy, and moments you can never get back. 5. Holding in your morning urine, a risk you didn't know you were taking. It's a habit so ordinary that most people never give it a second thought, holding in their morning urine. But for older adults, this simple delay can trigger a chain of silent dangers that most never see coming. Let me tell you about Mr. Martin, an 81-year-old retired bridge engineer from Kansas. Every morning, his routine was the same: wake up, check the news on his tablet, sip his first cup of coffee, and only then head to the bathroom. "I don't like to rush," he once said. What he didn't know, what no one had ever told him, was that delaying urination each morning was quietly putting his brain and heart under pressure. One morning, after a poor night's sleep and a second cup of coffee, Mr. Martin stood up and suddenly collapsed. He had suffered a hypertensive crisis that triggered a small stroke. Thankfully, he survived, but his balance has never been the same. "I thought it was just a habit," he told me later. "I didn't know it could be dangerous." Here's what happens inside your body when you ignore your bladder's signal. A full bladder is interpreted by your body as internal stress. In response, Your adrenal glands release cortisol and adrenaline, the same fight-or-flight hormones triggered in emergencies. These hormones cause your blood vessels to constrict and your blood pressure to rise. For someone over 65, especially with hypertension or heart disease, this added pressure can be catastrophic. The stress doesn't stay in your bladder, it spreads through your entire cardiovascular system. Your blood becomes harder to pump, and the arteries in your brain, often already stiff or narrowed with age, feel that pressure first. That's when a blood vessel can rupture or a clot can form. All because you waited 10 extra minutes. Worse, a full bladder can also disrupt your heart rhythm. In older adults, it can trigger atrial fibrillation, an irregular heartbeat that dramatically increases the risk of a blood clot reaching the brain. We often talk about listening to your body, but many seniors start tuning out the body's earliest warnings. Small decisions like waiting to go to the bathroom can quietly lead to life-changing consequences. So the next time you wake up and feel the urge, don't delay. Don't scroll your phone. Don't wait for your coffee. Just go. This isn't just about comfort, it's about protecting your brain. Because when your bladder speaks, your brain is listening. And if you ignore it, the cost might be far more than just a few minutes of convenience. 6. Drinking coffee on an empty stomach. It's a morning ritual for millions. Wake up, head to the kitchen, pour that first hot cup of coffee. Comforting, familiar, even necessary. But drinking coffee on an empty stomach, especially before water or food, can trigger a cascade of silent stress in your body, and the consequences may be more serious than you realize. Let me tell you about Mrs. Ruth Delgado, a 74-year-old retired librarian from New Mexico. For years, her routine never changed. 2 large cups of black coffee every morning, always before breakfast. "It keeps my mind sharp," she told me. But one morning, after sipping her usual coffee, she felt lightheaded. Moments later, she collapsed. What Ruth experienced was a transient ischemic attack, a mini-stroke caused by a sudden spike in blood pressure and irregular heart rhythm. She didn't know that coffee on an empty stomach could tighten blood vessels, raise adrenaline, increase heart rate, and disrupt blood flow. For seniors with fragile arteries, that jolt can overwhelm the system. Your brain doesn't need a jolt. It needs stability, gentle, even support. But coffee, when misused, acts like a whip, and aging vessels aren't built to handle that repeated shock. Even worse, coffee can mask early warning signs like low blood sugar, fatigue, or dehydration. You might feel awake, but your body is under stress. Cortisol rises, heart beats faster, vessels tighten. Over time, this weakens your brain and heart's natural defenses. In people with high blood pressure, arrhythmias, or memory decline, this habit doesn't just raise stroke risk, it amplifies it. Here's what I tell my patients. Start your day with water. Eat something small, then enjoy your coffee moderately. No sugar overload, no cream. Your brain wants oxygen, hydration, and balance, not a jolt. 7. Skipping breakfast, the hidden morning mistake. It may seem harmless, just a skip meal, something you'll catch up on later. But for older adults, skipping breakfast isn't just a missed opportunity for energy. It can quietly set the stage for serious problems with your brain, your heart, and your blood pressure. Let me tell you about Miss Gloria, a 69-year-old retired florist from North Carolina. She had a habit of skipping breakfast because she wasn't hungry in the mornings. Her first real meal of the day wouldn't come until lunchtime. For years, she believed this was fine, maybe even healthy. But what she didn't realize was that her body was running on empty when it needed stability the most. One morning, after walking her dog and sipping only black coffee, she began to feel shaky and confused. She sat down on the curb, unable to recall where she was. A neighbor called 911. Gloria was having a hypoglycemic episode. Her blood sugar had dropped dangerously low, and it triggered a brief loss of cognitive function. Why does this happen? After 8 or more hours of fasting during sleep, your brain needs glucose to function properly. Without breakfast, your blood sugar can dip, your cortisol levels rise, and your blood pressure becomes more unstable. For seniors, especially those on medication for diabetes, blood pressure, or heart conditions, this creates the perfect storm for a fall, confusion, or even a stroke. Skipping breakfast also increases your body's stress response. Cortisol spikes, heart rate rises, blood vessels constrict. And in people over 60, who may already have narrowed arteries or fragile circulation, this stress isn't just uncomfortable, it's dangerous. And if you combine no food with morning coffee, the impact is even worse: unbalanced stimulation with no fuel to stabilize it. That's why I tell my patients, eat something within an hour of waking up. It doesn't have to be heavy. A piece of fruit, some yogurt, a boiled egg, or whole grain toast is enough to support your brain and stabilize your system. Your brain isn't looking for a feast, it's looking for fuel. Something steady, something predictable. So, next time you think about skipping breakfast, remember, that small decision could lead to bigger consequences than you realize. 8. Not doing light movement, the missed morning medicine. It's easy to overlook, especially on cold mornings or days when energy feels low. You wake up, head straight to the kitchen or the bathroom, maybe settle into your favorite chair, and the rest of the morning unfolds without your body ever truly waking up. But skipping light movement in the morning is one of the most underestimated mistakes older adults make. Your body doesn't just want movement, it depends on it to kickstart circulation, awaken the nervous system, and reset your internal rhythm after sleep. Let me tell you about Mr. Dennis, a 73-year-old former accountant from Oregon. After retiring, his mornings slowed down. No more commute, no more rush. He'd rise late, sip his coffee, and go straight to reading the paper, sitting for an hour or more before moving. Over time, Dennis noticed he was feeling more sluggish during the day. His legs felt heavier. He had occasional dizziness when standing. One morning, after getting up too quickly and not moving around first, he lost his balance and fell, fracturing his wrist. Doctors later explained that his circulation was slow to catch up because he'd been too sedentary upon waking. Why does this happen? After hours of lying still, blood pools slightly in your lower body, your joints stiffen, your blood vessels narrow, your heart rate slows. Light movement helps reverse these effects, easing your body into wakefulness and supporting blood flow to your brain and muscles. A few simple stretches, marching in place, rolling your shoulders, even walking around your room. These small motions act like a warm-up for your circulatory and nervous systems. And here's the truth. You don't need a gym or fancy equipment. You just need consistency and a few minutes. Light movement can help reduce your risk of falls, strokes, and even cognitive decline over time. So tomorrow morning, before you sit down or rush into your routine, take a few minutes to move. Wake your body up the way it was designed to. Gently, gradually, and with care. Because a moving body is a living, thinking, protected one. Morning habits shape the rest of your life. After decades of caring for the aging brain, I've learned one truth that never changes. It's not the big events that hurt us, it's the small things we ignore day after day. A stroke doesn't always arrive with drama. Sometimes, it starts as a moment of dizziness you dismiss. A forgotten pill. A skipped glass of water. Holding in your morning urine thinking it can wait. Or leaping out of bed too quickly because you've always done it that way. But once you're in your 60s, 70s, and beyond, your body starts speaking a new language. If you don't listen, the price can be devastating not just to your body, but to your identity, your independence, and the life you've worked so hard to build. You've spent years providing, raising a family, serving others. Now, you deserve mornings that begin with strength, not fear. But that only happens when you treat your brain with the respect it needs, especially in those first few minutes after waking. What we covered today may seem simple. Sit up slowly. Drink water before coffee. Take your medications on time. Don't ignore small symptoms. Honor your body's signals, even the quiet ones. These aren't just minor health tips, they're lifelines. I've seen people live 10, even 15 years longer with clear memory, strong mobility, and rich relationships simply because they made these small but powerful changes in their morning routines. I've also sat with families who were heartbroken because someone didn't. Please don't let that be your story. Let this be the day you stop rushing through your mornings and start protecting them. You are not powerless. You are not too late. And you are never too old to begin again. Start tomorrow morning with awareness, care, and consistency, not just for you, but for those who love you and want more mornings with you. If this video helped you, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Every stroke that's prevented is a life that stays whole, and every good morning is a step